Amy, when you think of Saturday mornings, what do you think of?
Oh, I think of Nerds cereal. I love some Nerd cereal. I think
Oh,
of I think of Saved by the Bell. Is that what we're talking about? And I also think of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Kiwis. What was the theme? I can't even remember.
It's like it's me. I don't know. I don't know. I can't sing. It's something about pull
Come on,
yourself.
Amy.
It's Cherry. Da-na-na-na-key at Pee-wee's Playhouse. Something like that.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
you
know.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
It's still us, Mo and Amy from the Flippin' Fantastic podcast. This is just our behind the scenes where we talk about everything and anything except reselling. Make sure you subscribe and take a listen. Bye.
So as we have discussed already, I do remember Pee-wee's Playhouse, but it wasn't on my. I was no longer waking up super early to go see the cartoons because I was an older teen by the time Pee-wee's Playhouse made it to TV.
Mhm.
I more remember it from, although I did see it because, like I said, I had younger sisters.
Yeah.
I more remember it from the HBO special.
Yeah. And just I guess because I was just a little younger, but I didn't even know that the movie came out before the Saturday morning
Mhm.
show. I had
Yeah.
no idea. I mean, I just don't remember it. It all like melts together. But I did
Right.
I did like the what was the first one called? What was the first one called? Pee-wee's Big Adventure? Was that the
Yes.
first one? Yeah.
That's
That
the
was
very
always
first
on
one.
TV. I felt like it was always on TV too. Like if you
It was
stayed
on
home
HBO on loop. But
yes.
yeah, so Amy and I watched Pee-wee as himself. Did anybody else watch it? Let us know. We're going to
Mhm.
talk about it. It was very interesting view into his life before all of Pee-wee, I
Oh
thought.
yeah, it was. It was. It was almost like breaking that fourth wall and seeing, what, like all the things that you just didn't know about him. I thought it was really
Right.
cool. It was so
Yeah.
nostalgic. It was so nostalgic for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Loved it.
And as you should already know, he died a couple years ago, I think in 2023.
Oh
He
yeah.
was ill with cancer. He had I think he had a leukemia. I'm not sure exactly what type.
I don't know either. I don't think they touched
There
on
he
it.
is.
Yeah, look at him.
But
It's
he did like
classic.
40 hours of interview with the director, producer,
Hmm.
whatever, director. He was
Yeah.
involved in it in this documentary. But after knowing that he died, and if you don't also know, he died. He didn't finish he didn't finish what he was supposed to do with this
Mhm.
documentary because he did pass away. He hadn't told anybody that he had cancer. That had to do with only, I guess, people closest to him knew he
Yeah.
had it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
but like looking at him there, he's kind of puffy. And just having experience with somebody that passed of cancer, he was probably on, a lot of
Steroids or
medicine
something.
and steroids and stuff. Yeah.
But he's also not, 19 anymore either there,
Well, that too. That too.
Yeah.
That too. I'm
Mhm.
just thinking so I guess we'll jump ahead to the end where he stopped. They did say that throughout this, he was being interviewed and they showed stuff throughout, and he was they were like he stopped cooperating, and probably just because he was sick and he didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell them, and he was
Yeah.
just too sick to do it. Is what I'm thinking. But also, those steroids can mess with you and just you're just not yourself. You're just not yourself. So,
Sure. Yeah.
but he was probably really sick. I mean, if you watch it at the very end, they do play like a recording with him where he's kind of like a little bit argumentative, but kind of not. I don't know. It's just,
Mhm.
it was weird, but they didn't know he was that sick and that he was basically on his deathbed then.
Yeah, well,
Poor Pee-wee.
I think it said that it was the day before too. He passed. That he filmed
Oh yeah, yeah.
that
Mm.
little
Mhm.
bit. But
Yeah, you watched it more recently than me, so you're going to remember those details better.
well, I watched the second one yesterday. The first one was
Yeah.
like a week ago, but it. Oh my gosh! And when when it started out, and they were talking about his upbringing, and then the things that he was into, and then when he moved to
Mhm.
California and did that, was it like a theater program? I guess when he was young.
Yeah.
when
Mhm.
they said some of the people that he was like in this theater with, I was just like, oh my gosh, I would have never like linked him with like David Hasselhoff. And
Yeah.
there was
Who else was it?
another female. I can't remember who the female was, but I was just like, wow, that's like just kind of cool. And the fact that he, his personal life, he doesn't look like Pee-wee at all. Yeah,
Right.
that was another thing. I wonder, they didn't talk about this at all that I remember. I wonder if his Pee-wee was a wig, you know? What did you think?
I
Because
just think he slicked his hair down. Let's see.
no, it was definitely short. It wasn't slicked back. Pee-wee Herman had short hair. But I wondered if it was a wig because in his personal life he had like long hair.
No,
Do you know
it's
what I
slicked
mean?
back. Look, it's slicked back.
No, not slicked back like, but he had long hair, Mo. It's not slicked back like on his under his collar. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Oh
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, I'm thinking he probably cut it when he was.
When he was filming those? I don't
Yeah.
know. No, I just thinking because his hair was so long. I don't know. We should ask his good friends David Arquette, which is like, oh, I totally see that vibe, like him being
Oh
friends with David
yes.
Arquette. Like I didn't know any of it, but it's just like, oh, they were so close that he ended up like staying with him during like that controversy and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that he was, but I can see it because David
Yeah.
Arquette's kind of a weirdo.
Yeah. And I guess if social media was around then, like as much as it is now, it would have been, well, probably not, but like you feel like more connected
Right.
to celebrities because they're on Instagram and stuff. So they're like showing you
Yeah.
how they live and stuff. But I was just like, wow. Like I didn't know, obviously I think everybody knows about the part where he got caught up in that sting in the adult movie theater, but I
Right.
didn't know about the other part where they did that raid on his house. I don't remember any
Me
of that.
me either. Now I remember the guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was Principal Rooney in Ferris Bueller, and he was the dad in Beetlejuice.
But yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah, he got in.
Yeah, he was. I mean, because they mentioned it. It was the same. Whoever when that guy got caught, and then somebody said, "Oh, look into somebody." Gave a tip or something.
Right.
Oh, look at him too. But I guess they were like somewhere at the same place, or
like partying together or things, something
maybe
like that.
I don't know. What's that guy's name? But
I didn't know that was. Maybe they said their name. Maybe they said his name, but I didn't like know his name. So,
yeah, it was quick, and they talked about him, and they talked about that. He was caught. I mean, he was caught. Do you know what I mean? Like they didn't find anything.
Like caught with CP?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. But then he got dragged in, and then they confiscated all this stuff from. Well, his name's not Pee-wee. It's Paul Reubens.
Paul
So he
Reubens.
confiscated all the stuff from Paul Reubens' house. Like, and he had tons of stuff. If you guys watched it, he had a ton of tapes and photos, and
dude was a hoarder.
he was.
He had collections of, like you said, tapes, photos, toys.
Yeah, just like memorabilia and things like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was kind of cool. I of course, Mo and I are resellers, and the reseller side of me was like, I want to look at all of his stuff. Like, I just want to look at.
And I guess that was part of like remember they showed where they were like putting it all out, like because I guess it had been in storage. But where did they get it from? Like, where were they putting it? I don't like. They didn't explain. They didn't get into. I wish they got into more about how and why he started collecting stuff.
Yeah, it had to be in a storage unit or not. Maybe not.
Well, yeah, he did. I just. They didn't really talk about like. It was just like, oh, by the way, he collected stuff.
I know.
I felt like, you know what I mean? Like, whereas he had so much stuff that I feel like that was a big part of his personality that they didn't really touch on.
Yeah, right. I know. They had 4 hours to touch on it too. I mean, it was a pretty long.
Yeah.
series, or
Yeah.
I guess it's a 2-part documentary, but they were almost like 2 hours apiece. But I know that's the part that I wanted to know. I was like, oh, I want to know more about your collecting, and where did you get these things? Did people gift them to you too because they know you like to collect things? And where was it? It looked like when they were stacking up all of his items in that like B-roll, I was like, are they in a warehouse somewhere? It almost gave me like office space warehouse vibes. I don't know. But did I see this on like TikTok or something, or did they talk about it, about having like a Pee Wee Herman museum of all of his cool and eclectic items?
I think
Maybe
did
I
they
saw
say?
that
I
on
think they
TikTok.
might have said it on the thing, like him, like that. The interviewer, the director, was like, "You should have a museum," and it's
Oh,
like
okay.
and
Yeah.
he could have. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's like I need a whole episode about his collection. I want to see all of it. I mean, they showed, big pans of it, and the only thing they really focused on was associated with him getting in trouble, because the guy's name, the other guy, is Jeffrey Jones. He was principal in Ferris Bueller. He was the dad in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
He solicited a minor and photographed him and all kinds of stuff. So he was like out and out. Now, somebody also said, "Oh, you should look into Pee Wee." Or Paul Reubens. I should say Paul
Yeah.
Reubens. Sorry, Paul. And so he was under investigation, and they searched all those collections. And the one thing he had was like some vintage male nudes. Photos. I don't,
Yeah.
And
It was only
it's
one
like
that
when
was suspect.
he's like he barely even looked at him. Like, he was the kind of guy, he's like, he bought stuff and he put it in this storage unit. Like, you could tell nothing was touched,
Right.
But there was like one picture that they were like, "Oh, is this a minor?" And it turned
Yeah.
out they weren't. And
When that happened in that
when you're
scene,
digging that far, it's like ridiculous.
exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying that people shouldn't get in trouble for this, but like, if you have to like dig into some vintage thing and figure out if some one picture in somebody's collection is, I don't know,
kind of like
underage.
I immediately thought of what about all these men in the country that have the collections of those penthouse variation magazines, and what's her name? Gosh, who is it? It's a woman that she was underage. She lied about her age and she was posing in them. I think she was 16 years old, but she made
So
it.
we busting all them?
She's 16 years old on the cover and inside. And so what about all these men? So they have CP in their house if they are collecting old penthouse variations.
Right,
and,
exactly.
Because I found them in an attic at an estate sale, and that one was in there. And I was just like, it just even felt weird to like,
Yeah,
like,
right.
you can't sell it because it's,
Right.
because she was underage, but she lied about her age. How many girls in these magazines back in the day, in the 80s and stuff, lied about their ages just to...
Exactly.
Yeah,
Probably.
So,
yeah.
I know. That was a little
So
off,
I'm assuming the boys did it too. So
exactly.
But anyway, we didn't even really, and that's the part that I didn't know anything about.
I didn't remember that either.
I don't remember it either. And I feel like his, that's when he was staying with like, isn't that when he was staying with like the Arquettes?
Yeah.
And
that part.
I feel like he had good, whoever was doing his like PR or something must have did a good job, because we didn't really hear about it. I mean, I don't remember. I was, this wasn't that long ago. I mean, it was, it was an adult. It wasn't a kid or anything. So,
what is it? It's like a crisis PR team. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember it. Or it just kind of was just like, I think we had talked about this before, that it's like if all of those things had happened, like the first one about the adult theater, if that had happened in today, it would have been blown over so quickly. Because look at all these things that happen, Logan Paul with the suicide forest. Look, people got over that
exactly
quickly.
Yeah,
and now,
people have short memories.
Especially now with all of this consumption of short form content. But I didn't know, I didn't remember until we saw this, that Phil Hartman was in Pee-wee's Playhouse. And
Oh yeah,
then
yeah. Mhm.
I had forgotten until I saw him again. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And then Lawrence Fishburne, is that his name? Fishburne? Like I forgot about him too.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Cowboy Curtis. I was just
Yeah,
like, oh
he
my
was
gosh.
Cowboy. Yeah.
Like I remembered of
Phil
these characters, but I didn't remember that they
Cowboy
were
Curtis
celebrities.
kind of replaced the Phil Hartman character who was what was he? Captain Carl in the
Yeah.
original stage show and then the HBO special. Yeah, they were Pee-wee and Phil Hartman were like BFFs. They wrote the original thing and the first movie. They wrote Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
Yeah.
which is the best
It
one.
is.
It's
It is the
hilarious.
best one.
And there's also I knew this, but I always, get reminded of it because, like, it's not on the poster, which it
Uh-huh.
would be today, but it was Tim Burton's first movie.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I didn't remember that either. Like I didn't put two and two together.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then when they were talking through the documentary about the next movie that they did, which I can't even remember. It's the one
Big
about the
Top Pee-wee.
circus. Big Top Pee-wee.
Yeah.
I didn't like that one either. Like when it came
No.
out. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny that,
Mhm.
that I didn't like it and it didn't do well. And it's just kind of
Yeah. It
weird
didn't
that
have the same vibe. But that was by then. He and Phil Hartman were feuding, I guess because, and they really, again, didn't get into exactly why, but he and Phil Hartman were feuding because it seemed Pee-wee
Oh,
went because by then Pee-wee's Playhouse got picked up, right? So it was on
yeah.
TV, but Phil Hartman wasn't part of it. And Pee-wee, Paul Reubens alluded to like some people were mad, but I think Paul Hartman was on Saturday Night Live at the time.
Phil,
By
yeah.
then,
Mhm.
Phil Hartman,
Yeah.
Paul Reubens, Phil Hartman. He was on Saturday Night Live by the time, so I guess he wasn't in it. I don't know. There's a big gap missing, like exactly what happened.
Mhm.
Could he not do it because he was on Saturday Night Live, but he was still PO'd? Like they had a interview
Yeah.
Phil Hartman did with
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure it had something to do with like royalties and like credit and
yeah,
stuff. But
right.
I think it's funny that they said that they would just lock themselves in a room and smoke weed and create all of this stuff. And even the artists that they had that he fought for to create like sets and drawings and things. They
Right.
did the
Yeah.
same
What
thing.
was
They
it?
just locked
I can't
themselves in
remember
a
that
room.
guy's name. Yes.
Yeah, but that they did the same thing. They would just smoke a lot of weed and draw a lot of like crazy things. And then they said they would do like 3 or 4 renditions of like the same drawing, and Paul Reubens would always pick like the wackiest one, and they loved that about him, which is cool because they had the best. Like his sets and stuff were like the best. I love it. Oh, and did you notice like when we were watching it, like when they were showing Pee-wee's Playhouse and they had like, the genie and the mailman and the chair and stuff in the magic screen. I was like, oh, that's an iPad. They had an iPad in the back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah. Here's a
Look at
picture of Paul on Cherry.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is from. This looks more like it's probably from the stage show, but I don't know.
I don't know, but I didn't even know that there was actually a puppeteer inside that. I thought it was.
I know, right?
I had no idea. That's cool though to know that. I loved it. I loved it. And when they were talking about the opening scene, when they would do that 360, almost like a drone view around the house, and then they would zoom in. That was my favorite part.
Yeah,
of
that
it.
like the miniature thing they did.
Yeah. And just hearing him talk about how passionate he was, like they would literally do like 2 scenes and then they would stop and get approval. Like I appreciated that. Like, cause I was like, I love the like editing vibe of it. I don't know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I really like all that. Like, it's just cool.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love the minis. The minis.
Mm-hmm.
I
was looking up I couldn't remember the guy's name. Wayne White, is that it? The artist.
I don't know. I don't remember his name either. I just thought it just was cool that
I think that was him.
Yeah. But yeah, he just had a great story, like growing up and listening to all of that theater stuff. And his upbringing. And
Right.
it's such a shame that he felt like he had to hide his sexuality. But I mean, I guess I understand because it was the times,
I get it back in the day, but he wasn't hiding it at first. It's crazy.
I know.
He had a boyfriend. They lived together. They were like domestic.
Yeah.
It was sad though because that guy did die of AIDS.
Yeah.
I think later
After they weren't together anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of me is like, it sucks. Like, why couldn't he do both? Like, because his dad was like, oh, you're sitting there being domestic, but what do you want to do? Don't you want to, like, his dad was like kind of pushing him, driving him.
Yeah.
And then he broke up with that guy. I mean, I get it.
I could see being in the 80s. No, or was it 80s? Yeah, it probably was. Yeah, it was 86, I think. I could see how people were in the 80s that like, oh, you can't be gay and do a kids show, people. Right. I don't know. I mean, it sucks that.
But he wasn't doing the kids show at the time. He wasn't doing it.
But
then.
I just mean like, it wouldn't have. It probably wouldn't have transitioned into the kids show if he had been out, just because of people's mindset back then.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I mean, it wasn't. It didn't even start out as a kid show. Like Pee-wee's Playhouse was 100% adult content when he did the stage show with Phil Hartman and all of them.
Yeah,
it was 100% adult content. But I mean, it wasn't outwardly. It was But I mean, even when he did the show, but that's kind of how all the things were back then. You'd have
like Beavis and Butthead.
You make those like jokes. That. But I mean, even like cartoons and stuff back in the day, like there'd be jokes that were over the kids' heads, but parents would be like, oh yeah. And nobody freaked out about it either. Like it was just there.
Was the Flintstones, did they have jokes too? I can't remember. I was trying to remember if like the Flintstones had like.
Yeah, probably. They were prime time. They weren't necessarily marketed to kids. They were on at night.
What, the Flintstones?
When it first aired.
I don't remember that. I was trying to think.
Well, that was before. I mean, it was before me. They were on at night, like in the 60s, I think.
I was trying to think of like today, how, the situation with like being involved with kids and stuff. And I thought if JoJo Siwa had came out while she was still like JoJo Siwa with the side pony, I wonder if she would have still hit that celebrity that she did, like with the kids and the mass marketing. Yeah. Like they had JoJo Siwa cereal
but now she's not gay.
Well, you know what I mean, though. I'm just saying if
I know. She's been back and forth more times.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, but I'm not announcing my sexuality all the time. When you're straight, you don't talk about that. When you're cis,
I mean, now nobody. I don't know. Who cares?
I know.
Okay.
I know. I don't care either. At all. But it's just,
But it was a different time. It was a different time.
Yeah. It just shows you how much people have.
The thing is I'm pretty sure everybody knew all of his friends. So he was in that theater troupe. Then he was in the Groundlings. Like they all like had to know he was gay. Yeah. And there was a lot of famous people in the Groundlings too. Yeah. I always forget, but then I was reminded that he was like really like BFFs, really good friends with Elvira, Cassandra, what's her last name? Anyway, the lady, because she was in the Groundlings with them.
And then the Cher, remember when he was friends with Cher too? And then he said, "Oh, I had all these celebrities on, and I made sure it was a no bid. You can't bill me after the appearance type thing." Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Christmas special. The Christmas special.
And he's like, everybody I asked came on. Yeah. Oprah. I loved it. It was such a feel good.
It was. I mean, he had for all his troubles, like he had a lot of people that were his for all his troubles, he had a lot of people in his life that were there forever. Like his personal assistant, like
and his bodyguard, it sounded like too, were just there. Yeah, his personal assistant worked for him for 40 years.
Yeah. So awesome. That was the thing too. I was like, are you kidding me? When he was under investigation, because basically she said she was like his work wife. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like because they worked together for so long, and she had a daughter, and he was involved with their life. There's pictures of him with
Yeah.
her daughter, and I guess she got questioned.
Mhm.
You let your daughter around him, and she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure
So
he was
crazy.
Uncle Paul. Like,
Yeah, and the fact that he had to file as a sex offender for
yeah.
what was it? Yeah, I was just like, man, that's
hmm
such a bummer. You know,
Yeah. hmm
it's just it's all
I,
about like appeasing the masses. Like, oh, let's just
right.
do it
I
so
think
everybody's happy. You know.
it's like not only was he gay, but he was weird. He was quirky.
Yeah, he
I
was
think that played into that they could easier nab him. I don't know, nab
no,
him. You know what I mean? Like accuse him because he's
yeah,
like weird.
yeah,
He's goofy, but
it is. You can't be eclectic and
right.
not get accused of things, apparently. Yes. He should have had a
Yeah.
store. He should have had a museum. They should have a museum it says Pee-wee's Cool and Eclectics. And you can just go in
Right.
and look at all of the things. I think
Right.
that's what I think they should. I think that David Arquette should make sure that Pee-wee's things should get seen.
Right.
I'm sure he's
Yeah.
got a lot of money.
I wonder who has them.
Probably the housekeeper assistant. I bet you.
Assistant?
Or
Yeah,
maybe the
maybe.
sister, because his sister's still alive too.
Oh yeah,
know?
his sister. I forgot.
And you know what else I thought was kind of cool? I mean, I'm assuming this because they didn't touch on it. The first house that he bought is still the house that he died in. Like it sounded like he owned
Right.
the house.
They didn't change every time. I think that's where he was being interviewed, was in that house.
But that's kind of cool that he bought his house and like stayed in it that whole time. Like he fell in love with it that much that he didn't want to move.
Yeah.
Which it sounds amazing when he was talking about like the landscaping and stuff. Like, he's at all the wildlife in LA. And then when you jump on which I think is kind of cool. I could totally see it in my mind. I was like, when you could jump on the diving board and see the Hollywood sign, I was like, oh, that's so iconic. That's so iconic.
Yeah, and they did all that landscape. Like they, because I guess he had a lot of home movies. That was part of his stuff, was movie,
Yeah.
He had, like, they were like his assistant, they were all like doing the gardening. And then what was I saying? I forget. Yeah, they were.
They had so many animals. It was like Sleeping Beauty, like when all the animals would come around.
Well, I know there's like freaking bobcats in his backyard by the window. I was like, what's going on?
I know. That's what I thought. And I saw the coyotes. I was like, oh, that's not safe. The coyotes. So they can get all the other animals. They don't care. They don't care your Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Nope.
Oh my gosh. But guys, let us know what your favorite part was. I want to know what your favorite thing was from Pee-wee's growing up, like the Pee-wee's Playhouse, well, it wasn't a cartoon, but the Saturday morning show. That was my favorite. I loved it. I loved the little genie, because he would say Mecca like a high, Mecca hiney ho.
Oh yeah, that was one of his buds that was like with him forever. Him and Miss Yvonne. She was I mean, she was in other stuff. She was most notably, if you've ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, she's Charlie's mom. But she passed away recently too.
Oh, really? I don't know. I've never seen that either. But yeah, let us know, guys. Did you grow up on Pee-wee?
Mine is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yours is like
Alamo in the basement.
It was that the one with the large Marge?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell him Large Marge sent you.
Oh man, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's Pee-wee as himself, and then go watch old school Pee-wee's Playhouse. And with that, guys, we're flipping out. No, we're not. We're what? Stay sassy. And with that, stay sassy, guys. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching, and check out more of our videos right here. Stay sassy.